The 800-year-old lolly is such an old trope, dude. It's a trope because it happens so frequently. And that really just creeps me out, man. It really does. Are you gonna try DNA when it comes out? What's DNA? A shameless clone of Warframe? Is this what we're talking about? The anime thing? This looks very Korean, I'm not gonna lie. Duet Night Abyss you guys were talking about. Warframe, but with a Genshin mod. Genshin Killer 4.0. This is Genshin Killer. Goes offline after a year and a half. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys, and this is probably, like, this is just a preference thing, right? Like, it looks really unoriginal. I think 5-6 years ago, people would have said this grass looks beautiful and the landscape and the art style is cool. It looks way overdone. And right out of the gate, I feel like they got the base at like 200% because they're really trying to turn on the happy chemical in my brain and get me excited about killing enemies when I don't even know what is going on. Why does there always got to be a cute thing? Like, we're surrounded by a bunch of, quote, badass anime people, and then you got, like, some little cutesy side character. Honestly, I know it's kind of a trope in anime by now. I don't even know much about anime, but I know it's a thing, right? Everyone has their own preferences, but if I personally knew somebody, if I knew someone and this was their thirst trap, I probably wouldn't talk to him anymore, man. Nothing in this at all feels impactful or useful at all. I honestly just feel like there are so many things going on that it doesn't even make sense. And you know what? I changed my mind on this over the last couple of years, where I always felt like too much stimuli or like so much noise in a game was inherently bad. But you know what's crazy? Even when there's a bunch going on in Warframe, once you really get used to it, like once you play the game, it's still a lot, and sometimes it's crazy, like in EDA, for example, it does get wild, like Alchemy, and you get all the mobs, and they blow up, they leave like ground, like Path of Exile, whatever the hell. At least whenever you're doing something in Warframe, and you're killing an enemy, you see your gun jiggle a little bit, you see the enemy taking hits, you see the health bar going down, like you see it happening. And sure, there's a lot of things going on, but you know that you're doing something. Like, you still feel it. It's almost, like, I don't know how to describe it, because we're not on, like, DualShock controllers. At least I'm not, because I'm on PC. But I feel like I'm connected to the game. This is just like I'm hearing a bunch that's off the screen and doesn't even relate to what my character's doing. Alright, so what's this website? Duet Night Abyss. This is a terrible website, by the way. Latest updates, info, events. Technical test recruitment is open now. Okay, FAQ, how do I get in? There are 3 ways for prox hunters to qualify for the test. Is that what they're calling people? Prox hunters? So they're not Tenno, they're prox hunters. Prox hunter / the girl in the dream. ARPG gameplay walkthrough. Gaming mobile. Wait, somebody played this on mobile? Wait, this is it, isn't it? Wait, this is actually it? You not distinguish the face of the character between all the similar designs? No, you couldn't. I mean, this is old, but I mean, is it relevant? This is definitely the game, right? People who see Genshin in every way obviously have no game culture. Personally, certain aspects, scenes, character designs, and white sort of remind me of Cold Vein, the musical atmosphere near Automata. It's anime. I don't care. It's like very samey, stylized anime. I don't care. It doesn't even look good. Early access, early impressions. It looks like everything that's here, Shameless's stuff is getting. Look at the latest Tower of Fantasy stuff. I've heard of this game. I think I had a buddy of mine play it, but I never actually looked into it. I'm seeing this trend that Chinese game devs using anime style for online games? Probably. I wouldn't be as hateful if they would just do literally anything else with the anime style. Anything else would be at least respectable. I personally, like, okay, the anime style isn't for me, but I understand some people like it. But yeah, like for me, like my baseline is be original. But at the end of the day, if it did look like, if it looked like this, or if it looked like Genshin Impact, but the gameplay was actually, I'm not saying it is, it's probably not, but if it was like Warframe's gameplay on steroids and it felt better, but still maintain that same thing, like at least the gameplay would be justified. Like it would still justify moving over and playing that game, at least for, at least a little bit, right? But it doesn't even look like it's going to be good gameplay. It looks like Brain Dead. It completely changed gears to Coomerbait. What happened to Tower of Fantasy? I like anime, but I don't like anime games. Way too cute, and they're also more mature animes. Meryl Ironheart. Why is it that you can look at any, like, most sorts of media, most types of media, and you can read out a name and you know it's about a anime?
Liv, be careful. I heard the Federation is sending an investigator.
Classic deep voice, anime boy. Oh no.
Overseeing the Omnium experiment.
Doesn't matter. We won't have to do this in the dark anymore. Once the initial charging is done, no one can mess with us.
We're about to make it.
Did they just hit us with an anime trope a one-liner and a MacGuffin all in like 10 seconds.
Risking all my wealth for this. If only the Lasaccia family weren't so well established.
Her boobs are killing people, man. She's killing people with her boobs. There's no way she's picking that up. Yeah, hold on. They put a snap sound in there?
Are you here to settle the score with us?
Yeah, they did.
Melvinier, remember, practicing swordplay is a solitary quest. Get her.
Find the true meaning of wielding a sword.
Dude, this is so unbelievably corny, it's ridiculous. To ship Prince Billions? Dude, what did they do? Did they rip like old Final Fantasy female attack sounds? Like, it sounds all the same. I swear to God, it's the same voice actor from like 30 years ago. Oh, it's a gun sword. I'm telling you, for that whole animation, he died in the like most pathetic way. Like, he went out like a Skyrim NPC. The way he folds up. Nobody move. Drop your weapons. If there's Prince money, then I don't want to be in this world anymore. It's weird. It's weird because it's like anime, especially like popular anime games and a lot of anime media, from what I understand, they do this thing where the style is flashy, it's loud, it's very childish, and honestly is very immature. And I think it's pretty obvious that it comes off that way, and a lot of people like to cope because they like it, and they try to act like that's not the case. But what creeps me out about anime on the whole, outside of the few outliers, of course, and I know not all of it does this, but the over-sexualization of this just to appeal to that niche audience of maybe, I'm not going to call them mature people, but maybe they're in there. Honestly, I think if you're like really into that, you're probably not that mature or whatever, to be honest. I honestly just feel like the sexualization of characters in something that looks like it's primarily made for children is really creepy. And I really hate, like, I know it's a meme by now, and I know a lot of people already know this, and a lot of people already had, like, they already share the same sentiment, but the 800-year-old lolly is such an old trope, dude. It's a trope because it happens so frequently, and that really just creeps me out, man. It really does. And what's more creepy is, like, when those 14-year-old boys, more than likely, right? It's like 14-year-old boys, they turned into, like, 30-year-old men. And because of the way, or because of the media that they grew up on, and maybe the circles that they grew up with, they don't grow out of that, and they end up adopting these, like, interesting ideas, right? And they have, like, these preferences, and it's just creepy as hell. And I've talked to a couple of my friends about this IRL, because, you know, I do have some friends that do partake in this sort of media, and it's just not for me. And I've always kind of disdained this thing, dude. I've never really been a fan of this. And again, on the whole, I'm really tired of seeing it. I'm really tired of seeing it, and I'm especially tired of seeing it overly sexualized. Now, again, like, one of the exceptions that I'll say is, like, Black Desert Online is probably one of the exceptions where I can say that it's clearly a little bit of like an anime base, but because of the realism there, it does clearly appeal to a more mature audience. And it's not going for that thing. Now, with that said, they also have the Shy, and I think the Shy is bullshit too, and I think the Shy is creepy as hell in that game. But that's just weird, man. Like, this is so strange to me. I don't know how to say it other than the fact, like, outright, just honestly, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm not saying it's the whole thing, and of course I'm not saying everybody, but for a lot of popular anime media, that is the case, you know? It is the case. And you can say, well, a big part of that is due to the audience or the community sexualizing these things, and that's also true, but a lot of it's true because a lot of the characters in that genre are somewhat sexualized in the media that they originate from, whether that's the game like Tower Fantasy, whether that is Genshin Impact, you know, or if it's just an anime and it happens to be a very small character. It's weird. It's weird. No, it's just weird. I honestly could not be convinced otherwise. I'm not saying everything, but I'm saying a lot of it. A lot of it is. So we talking anime or anime games? I'm primarily talking about anime games, okay? But you can't also say that anime doesn't also do this. And I'm not, again, I like some anime. I'm not anti-anime, okay? I'm just against the over-sexualization of most media, actually. I just don't like when sex is integrated into things that are accessible on the day-to-day. And it's not even like some like hyper-conservative thing either. It's actually just, it's a thing that's there that doesn't serve a purpose other than to simply satisfy yourself beyond a point to where there's virtually zero outcome unless you're using it for a certain outcome. And when it's in a video game, there's literally no other thing to do with it other than be a coomer, right? So it's clearly there for one purpose, and it's to attract the people who are specifically interested in those things. So when you attract a bunch of people who are interested in porn, whatever TikTok says, right, into the luge in anime games or media, that's what the community becomes, and it becomes loud. But the thing is it's loud enough to where it's seeping into a lot of things. Yeah, it's coomer bait. Exactly. I really liked Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I really liked, I like Death Note, even though I haven't finished it. I stopped watching it after L died. I watched some Parasite, which was honestly a little overrated. I did watch a little bit of Attack on Titan. Honestly, that was overrated too. I mean, maybe I need to give it a rewatch, but I don't know. Like, anime is just not for me, but I've definitely seen a few that were good. You know, I watched Goblin Slayer. That one is crazy. I think that one went a little bit too far, but it was still interesting. I hear Berserk is good. I hear a lot of people talk about, like, Chainsaw Man and shit. Again, I'm not really that into it, but I know that there's some good media out there. You know, and I think it's good to pick up, like, different forms of media to interpret, like, to translate that story or that message for different audiences. I love that. I don't care what it is. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a thing. But the sexualization of characters doesn't send any other message other than you should satisfy yourself whenever you feel like it. And I feel like generally, again, on the whole, that's kind of a negative thing to live by.